get you up real quick. Welcome to the JP8 report. This is James Pierce with the JP8 report with the 2026 election interview for the Coryell County runoff Commissioner 2 race with the incumbent Commissioner Scott Weddle. Thank you very much for tuning in today with me and Scott. As we get started, don't forget to click the follow button to be a follower of my channel, and click the like button for the interview. And then also you can chat with I'm going to put this in again. Hold on just a second. So it goes all around. All right, good. All right. So if you have a question for Scott during the podcast, you can write it in on the live chat, and we will see it, and he can answer it during the interview. And that's an added benefit for being on Rumble. All right. Thank you very, very much for tuning in. Thank you, Scott, for coming back out.
Thank you, James.
Congratulations on making it to the runoff.
Thank you, sir.
So if all the people that are out there that don't know you, I'd like for you to reintroduce yourself to everyone here in Coryell County and beyond.
Yeah.
Because my stretch of my podcast go way up. All right. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thanks for having me, James. And first, we're coming up to a very important weekend, and I want to have everybody have a blessed Easter and celebrate the resurrection of our Savior Jesus Christ. That's the most important thing.
That's most important.
Absolutely, number one. Last time I met with you, we focused actually based on your questions were a lot about our beliefs, our morals and what our compass was. And, so I told you about how I was a conservative Republican, been that all my life, a Christian, a patriot, and a native Texan. Those are just some of my values. But today, because I think the voters are going to have to make a choice, there's just two of us now. And so I'm going to focus on my experience, my education and training, and my commitment. So first, my experience, I spent 40 years in the wholesale electrical supply business, most of that at a senior level management capacity. I worked in a warehouse, went to college, and then came out and started with that company and inside sales, outside sales. And then at 26, they promoted me to the West Coast Regional Sales Manager. So here I was, 26 years old, and I was, managing, guys that were 60 years old. It was quite interesting. Learned a lot about that. So then I spent 10 years with that company, and then went to another international company where I headed up their Gulf Coast region for them. Worked for that company for 20 years, and it was just a fantastic experience. They were a very progressive organization. Then I had a local electrical distributor. We had been talking a long time. We had sat on a couple of boards together and stuff, and so he had me come over. He was the owner and president. His dad started the business, and so I came over there, and all you can say is I became his right-hand man. And I had a little more experience. I was a little older, and so we sat and had a lot of conversations about running the company. But I say this experience because I don't think people realize what a big job that the commissioner's role is. We have to be versed in a multitude of things, and some of these you don't get exposed to unless you get out there in the world and you expose different things. FMLA. How you handle negotiations and contracts, how you, insurance, was a big deal in private companies. Every year, we had to sit down. So, and then of course the training that bigger companies, just like the military, train, right? Yeah. So they trained us a lot. So that's my experience kind of in a nutshell. And of course I've been county commissioner now for almost 4 years. It'll be 4 years in July because I took over a little early. My education and training, I'll try to get through this. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Houston in finance and got that in 1982. I think that's important because what's going to be one of the number one questions that you're going to ask today about?
I don't know.
The budget.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So my degree in finance, helps me a lot.
Remind me to skip over that one again.
And they kind of call me the numbers guy anyway, because I love that kind of stuff and working on that. In these previous companies, if you think about my age difference, I'm 67. I just turned 67, by the way, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. When I first started, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. It was great birthday to have.
Where does Weddle come from?
German.
Okay.
My grandfather's name
No Irish. Okay.
No, my grandfather's name was Rudolph Rufus.
Okay.
So, back then, personal computers, PCs, were brand new. And so we had lots of training on computer skills. I got negotiation skills, leadership skills. Since I've been the county commissioner, I've had 55 hours of CEUs, which are required. Yeah. But actually, I've got 7 more than are required right now. We've had cybersecurity training, of course, Open Meetings Act, Public Information Act. So I'm fully trained. And last but not least, commitment, because I said I talk about my experience, my education and training, and my commitment. When I sat in front of the voters 4 years ago, I told them that when I was elected that I would resign my position, that I had worked for a company up here for going on 10 years. They were fully supportive of it. They understood what I was doing. On January 1, I resigned. Actually before that. But so the big thing is my commitment is that I am a full-time, 100% dedicated county commissioner. And anybody, and like I said before, this is a pretty big job. There's a lot of stuff that you have to do. And it's a lot bigger job than most people think. I, now having been in it, I don't know how I could have stayed, employed in a full-time, job. One of those two would have to suffer, right, some way or another. I mean, you were a business owner. Could you imagine trying to run your business and have another full-time job that people are paying you $50,000 a year to do? Yeah. So my commitment level on that is very strong, and I don't think hardly anybody else can make that commitment.
So almost 2 weeks ago, there was the fire that happened over by the county square.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you were there or not. To lend support or anything, or
no? Look, people try to say, "Oh, I didn't see." I had the sinus infection from heck, and I made a couple of phone calls. The other thing is, and
what do you think about what happened out there?
Oh my God!
I mean, if you had a sinus problem, I mean, the last thing you need to do is run smoke.
A lot of smoke. Okay. Well, and not only that, James. I also looked at this. I don't have any firefighting skills. I don't have any crowd control skills. I was never a military police, or I wasn't a DPS officer. And so I kept in contact to make sure. And really, my strength, I think, again, that I bring is my ability to research, find people in more of a that type of environment.
It's a shame that happened.
Oh, it was. Yeah. I just, there's only one thing I regret, and maybe we'll talk about the IT, transition, because I know that was one of your things. I met them the next morning. I was there, and our new IT company had 4 representatives there, and he looked at me and goes, "Why didn't you call me?" And I went, "Oh, I didn't even, I didn't think about IT, because it really wasn't affecting, at that point, really, a county facility. And that's the last thing too. I mean, it really was a city play. Right. Everything about it was city, run. The county was there just to, and I've got a great relationship with the city manager and the police chief, and they know they can count on me.
Yeah, I was telling you, I met with Rob Irwin the other day, and he used to be a fireman, and he was telling me about all kinds of cool stuff. So if you want to go back and listen to Rob Irwin's interview, you will be pleasantly surprised with some information about firefighting and that thing. Because, I'm not a fireman. You're not a fireman.
No.
I do comms, construction, and you do your computer stuff.
computer financial.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, everybody has their own little skill set.
has their strengths.
Because if you get it in the wrong place, you end up getting people hurt. So you got to be careful with that.
Well, or just get in the way.
Get in the way.
Because I'm the type of guy that when I get somewhere, I want to jump in 100%. But when you don't know what to do, you're at what do I need to do?
You just stay over there and do that one.
Yeah. And I could have done that, but yes.
So were you surprised about the results of the primary?
No.
No.
I was pleased. I was very, very pleased. I mean,
well, yeah, because you wasn't in third or fourth place.
Yeah,
okay, but you got that one.
Yeah, that I in a crowd of four, that I came 4 votes short of not facing a runoff, which I was very, very proud of that accomplishment. Would have been nice to get over the line, but we'll just have to do it in May.
Oh, okay. It's a buddy of mine. He's in precinct 1, so he can't vote for you or anything. But if he's got good questions, he's a good friend of mine. Covite for life. I love his handle, man. But hey, Richard, if I know you're on here, if you have questions for Scott Weddle, he's in precinct 2. He's looking for some good hard questions. Hit him up. All right, man. No stress.
No stress.
Okay, so let's go. Road maintenance. Precinct 2 includes areas with seeing significant traffic. What is your specific plan to prioritize road and bridge repairs, and how will you ensure road and bridge report projects are completed on schedule?
So, and I know, this is sometimes repeated in some of the other, things, because all the commissioners have the same, thing, but mine's maybe a little bit different in that we're somewhat blessed. And if this was a job for a road commissioner, that would probably not be my strength. But what we do have is we're on the unit system.
Right.
And so
if you want to explain the unit system.
The unit system, as opposed to having individual equipment barns, and that each precinct commissioner was responsible for running a road crew and building roads, and that was their main focus. And typically in those situations, the county judge and the auditor pretty much run the budget. When they go to a unit system, as you get in a larger county, then the commissioners relinquish that. Now, in fact, the road and bridge administrator is truly the only direct report to that the commissioners have. He is our hire and our fire, so he works at our will. So having said that, it's all about the relationship that the commissioner has and the respect that you have for that road and bridge administrator. Justin Latham, he was hired before I got on the court, but he has a unique set. He was in road and bridge construction private, before. Then he became a county commissioner. So he was county commissioner of precinct 1.
Yes.
And so now he's road and bridge administrator. So when it comes to budget time, he is probably one of the easiest because he gets both sides. And I will tell you, I think in the 3 budget sessions that I've been through, Justin has never walked away from that budget feeling like he got cut or cheated or whatever. And I can tell you, it is a wonderful, pure, and open dialogue, between the commissioners and our road and bridge administrator. So, long way to get around. How do I prioritize? This is a funny thing. Of course, we all compete. Every commissioner competes to try to get that attention. But Justin's pretty solid. He has, we know it. He's got a 1-year, 3-year, 5-year, 10-year plan.
That's good.
Oh, if you went in there, he can show you what the schedule is. Of course, disasters, emergencies, COVID, right now, spiking, fuel prices. Road and bridge, what they live on, of course, is fuel. Everything from the oil you put on the road to pave. So, there's been times, where that. So, really my my plan is exactly what I've always done.
Okay.
Is work closely with the Road and Bridge Administrator and try to prioritize. I think it was mentioned before, unfortunately, there was a project in my precinct, which is County Road 274. It's a low water crossing. And Justin and I have been out there 4 or 5 times, and we've just looked at it. And there's just not an easy fix. And so unfortunately, under the grant money, we couldn't have even done that one project with the grant money.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was going to be, to get it to I think they said it was even a 10 or 15 year flood. It wasn't a 100-year flood. I mean, it was going to be 4 or 5, 6 million. Because really, we've got to get a bridge in there. It's a bad low water crossing.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah. And so
I hate driving over low water crossings.
Oh my gosh, yes. And this one.
I mean, you got like, no, I was going to make a joke, but yeah.
Well, we got 67 of them. I've got 2 of them that I drive over every morning, to go to work. And those are a point of contention because they're a major creek that crosses.
So we have a question by Cindy Deanna. Okay.
Okay.
It's not on the road maintenance one, but how did you evaluate and select an IT company, given that each vendor offered a different scope of services? It seems the comparison involved fundamentally different offerings, making it a challenge to assess them on an equal basis.
Okay. Do we want to go into that?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool.
We'll take the questions priority.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cindy.
Yeah. Thank you for the question because, so a little, got to go history. Okay. So Coryell County has never had an IT management contract. Okay. They've kind of hodgepodged. It worked out that we had 2 local folks that fought over the business, and it was a very much an ad hoc, reactive type of situation. I think it was back in 2014 or something like that. Darren Moore, they crafted an RFQ, sent it out, had the respondents, got all the way back to the evaluation. They decided who was going to be the top one. Darren made a motion, and he couldn't get a second. That was over 10 years ago.
Okay.
And so, I got on the court and I said, this is crazy. I mean, we've got, 420 users and 240 units out there. We need an IT management company. So we crafted an RFQ. And granted, no RFQ is perfect. But I will tell you that everybody had, of course, the same opportunity to quote the same RFQ with the same information. There is a period within those RFQs that they can send questions. And trust me, we got plenty of questions. And then everybody is copied on the answer. It's not secretive. So if one company says, clarify this, and then it's answered and it's blasted out to everybody. So they can see the question and the answer. So it's very level playing field as far as that goes. So we put this RFQ out, and based upon the prior year's budget, which was a little over $500,000, we spent over $450,000 with one vendor and about $60,000 with another vendor. So it was over $500,000. That RFP, we had 11 respondents, and yes, if you look at them, and I spent literally hours upon hours upon hours going over each one of those. I could bring them in here and you'd see where I yellow highlighted, certain areas and trying to, discern, just to that point, who was maybe the outlier. And so then the court narrowed those 11 down to 4. And that was based on price, experience, completeness on the proposal. So we narrowed it down to those 4, and then we had this is where sometimes the public doesn't. We had an executive session where those 4 were interviewed.
Yep.
Because
remember, you can't go into too much.
Right, we couldn't talk about their their price if it was in the public. We couldn't because none of this had been published yet. They might have some proprietary stuff that they want to tell us about. So that's all done in an executive session. So, when it came out of those 4 finalists, I will tell everybody that it was a clear, in my mind, the one.
So, if you don't mind me asking, because the question on there was that each vendor offered a different scope of services. Why didn't they all? Why didn't? Well, there's 4 of them, right?
Mhm.
So why didn't all of them have the same scope of services?
They did.
They did.
They did.
Okay. All right.
It was very clear.
Okay.
And during that interview process, they had every opportunity to try to maybe clarify or question. Like one of the questions I asked every one of the contractors, because they are a contractor, I said, so when you buy something for the county, do you put a markup on it? And last year, we had purchased for us $100,000 worth of product purchased for us. The average was somewhere between 20 and 30% markup that they put on purchasing for us. And I'm saying that because one of the differentiators between the company that we chose, they don't do that. So there's no chance of them recommending something, a more powerful server, to boost that price up so they can make more money. And I love that transparency. So how they operate, Goldsmith Solutions, which is who we finally ended up choosing, if we need a new server, they will research it. They will go out to buy board, tips, DIR, and they will compile all the quotes and everything for us and their recommendation, send it to us. We decide which one we want, and then we buy it, directly. So there's no middleman and no markup.
Okay.
So having said that, here was a couple of big differentiators between me and the other ones, or the other companies. Goldsmith Solutions, and if anybody looks at them, they are a Texas-based company. Sam Goldsmith is just a stand-up guy. In fact, we had a hour and a half, 2-hour meeting this morning with Goldsmith Solutions. They have 18 customers. 16 of those are counties. So that's their business. That's what they do. And we're not talking about Tarrant and Dallas and Harris County. We're talking about San Saba, Llano. They focused on kind of these western, counties and corridors, medium-sized to small, counties. So out of their 18, and one of the other 18 of their customers is his father-in-law that he said he can't fire. He would maybe like to. So they're very focused. All 3 other of the finalists, one didn't have any counties as their customers, and 2 of them only had one county as their customer. And so for me, it just was experience-wise, and it's already proving out, because immediately, and look, this is no fault to whatever vendor we had. There's a cybersecurity software, Sentinel-1. We talk about it all the time, and that's what we were under. Well, Goldsmith Solutions said, hey, the state of Texas has created 2 RSOCs, Regional Security Operations Centers, one at University of Texas and one at San Angelo State. And he said, the Texas will pay for your cybersecurity software. And that was a $15,000 savings, just like that, because now the state is going to do, and it's CrowdStrike, which is one of the number 1 cybersecurity. Wow. So I hope that answered the question. Okay. I do think they all had a fair, chance. It was apples to apples. I can tell you that I looked at every single one of those, and it was very clear cut and fair.
Okay. So as Copper's Cove and the surrounding areas expand, how would you balance the need for new infrastructure without overextending the county's current debt?
People talk about infrastructure with the county a lot, and I have to correct them. Really, our infrastructure are roads. We don't do water plants. We don't do water systems. We don't do electrical systems. So any of that infrastructure, sewer. The county doesn't operate any sewer line, other than, of course, septic systems. So really the one infrastructure other than our own buildings that the county, influences our roads. And that's why you hear so much about it. And we're so focused on, so I would tell you, roads is the number one thing. We have a plan. Yes, we are certainly budget constrained. And if I could wave a wand and we could fix that, that would be fantastic. But it is such a expensive. But this is according to Justin Latham. To rehab a road, from strip it down, and I think we got a good lesson before on how a road is built. But to completely strip it and to re-chip seal it is anywhere between, and this is for the county, between $100,000 and $150,000 per mile.
Yep, that's right.
And we have 640 miles, and half of those are what they would consider in the lesser than fair to failure rate. And so to say, boy, I've got the magic answer. No, we're just going to keep, plugging along, trying to find grants, when we can. And I know, that's another subject that can be talked about. Grants always come with their own set of baggage.
Well, it's a hard job for all four of y'all plus the county judge to come up with. And there's a solution out there. There's a solution. So in 2025, the Commissioner's Court faced significant, I should have put out all caps, public pushback regarding a proposed 21% rate increase. What is your red line in the 2027 fiscal year budget to ensure taxes remain manageable for citizens on fixed incomes?
Boy, red line. Don't know if you could answer that clearly because we don't know what the budget's going to bring. But let me give you a little, the problem that we faced. And this is one of the things that's frustrating that most people who have never been in a public office don't realize is you inherit the problems from the courts past. Okay? You and I have talked about this. And, people have even said, oh, well, you've raised taxes every year. No. In fact, I've got it right here, James. If you don't mind, I'll kind of look at it. I wish I could share this with them. Starting in tax year 2018, the tax rate was a 0.54. Next year, 5.4. Next year, 5.4. In 2021, it went to a 5.3. 2022, it went to a 4.8. And then in 2023, it went to a 0.339. 2024, 0.37. And that set us up for some failure. I mean, it's just, I'm not making excuses. It's not an excuse. It is a fact that when I got on the court and I talked to the senior commissioner,
whose idea was it to pay down tax rate with ARPA funds?
I don't, look.
Because that's I've served in elected office. You never use grant money to buy down the tax rate.
No, and if anybody,
you use grant money and ARPA funds to buy stuff,
assets,
capital,
you
don't buy down the tax rate with it. Because it's gonna when that grant is gone, someone's gonna want some money. Because I would not want to be the one that says, "Ma'am, we need to let you go because we don't have the money." Someone's trying to call.
You are preaching to the choir. And the unfortunate thing is, and it is tough, and we might talk about the transparency thing and people being able to really see what's going on in the commissioner's court. I will tell you one thing: the one person you can hear is me, because I sit right next to the microphone, and I'm willing to vocalize my opinions. I've said from day one that is a bad. I don't know if there's a person to point at, because that's the other thing people have to realize. It is a court of 5 people. There are 5 votes. In order for something to pass, it has to have 3. Right. So at minimum, there were at least 3 people. Like this last budget that we voted on, all 5 commissioners voted yes. So it's hard to lay blame. In fact, I read a thing way back about when I was studying about black belts and Kaizen and manufacturing, lean process manufacturing. Japanese have a great philosophy about, they don't look for somebody to blame. They look for what happened and how they're going to fix it.
Okay.
Right.
That's good.
It's a great philosophy. So when I got on, I said, man, I'm not going to blame anybody. And the other thing is
Well, what would
when has Coryell County ever received $14 million in a grant? Never. So do I think they knew how to handle that? Probably not. I mean, so they made a mistake. They drove down the tax rate that is not sustainable. In fact, this will be news to, in fact, any of the commissioners and stuff. I'm going to be introducing a policy probably at the next meeting about fund management. And I'm getting to the point. We have to budget to the reserve. Everything that I have read since I've been on court, the Auditors Association, the County Judges Association, the Texas Association of Counties, everyone says that you should maintain a 25% reserve, period. And this policy will state that if we fall below that level, then the court will have, if it's like 22 to 25, you have 1 year to correct it. If it's 18, whatever, then you got 2 years and 3 years. So if you actually look at that policy, we're in that 3-year cycle because our reserve had got it down as low as 19%. And to make up 5% is very, very tough. And, I told everybody when I was elected, James, that I wasn't elected to make the easy decisions. I was elected to make the hard decisions. And I'm obviously taking a lot of heat from this. But if that message, got out, and by the way, this last year in 2026, we got the rate up to 22.54. So we're getting there. And that reserve, for anybody who wants to contact me, I can explain why that is so important that we manage to that. So no red line. Somehow we've got to cut some expenses. We have to manage every other side of it, but somehow get that reserve back up.
So if the county faces a budget shortfall, what specific departments or projects would you prioritize for cuts versus those that must remain fully funded? The
real answer there is truly every department that is in almost every county government it's critical to some people. The tax office, what am I going to do? Cut that? Well, he runs all the elections. He does this. The county clerk, everybody goes in there and gets all their documents. So I think, unfortunately, it has to be, death by 1,000 cuts. But if there's 2 areas that I fought for this year during the time when we were cutting, 2 were road and bridge, and I call it LEO, law enforcement security.
Right.
Those are the 2 areas that I think touch every citizen in Coryell County.
So a specific question was, from me right now, is if the budget the tax rate had to be raised until you got to the voter approval is 8%, right?
Yes.
So if you knew you had to cross that line to balance the budget, would you go up to that amount and then make layoffs or recommend layoffs, or would you take it across that line and then go to the voters and ask them for their approval?
Great hypothetical question.
Yeah,
it's a tough.
It may happen.
I would be very, very. I would be inclined to not go over that rate because unless you have an extraordinary, compelling reason that everybody in the public could see clearly, if it was a catastrophic failure, that was maybe even nothing that was created by, the court, then you'd have to go and say, man, we're in a
because nowadays, since the last legislature, county judges and commissioners could now, along with sheriffs and DAs, they could all be recalled now. So you really have to make the educated decision hopefully it's not a guess, an educated decision how you want to proceed for the future of your county. I know you're one of four plus the county judge, but being an elected official sometimes is not a fun job to be because you got people that hate you and you got people that love you. And then you got to come to a happy medium between the two.
And you have a whole lot of people that are indifferent.
And you may have a whole lot of people that love you. You make the wrong decision. Now you got a whole lot of people that don't like you.
Yeah, that would be, it would have to be one of those 100-year, situations for me to go above, to get to the voter approval rate, because I know that the success of that would be extraordinarily hard, but also contrary to, rumors and stuff, this court, when we proposed that tax rate, there's a process. And we go through this every year, the same process. So you propose the rate, and then you look at the proposed budget and how that, fits in it.
Well, I know that in the last budget, the budget got sent to y'all late.
Yeah.
But you already had to have a proposed rate. So y'all gave a number out. And then when the county judge gave you the budget, you reduced it.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Oh, yeah. Dramatically.
It's supposed to be flip-flop.
Yeah, it should. And look, I hate to even bring up the past, but it is the past. What really happened too was the day before the proposed budget was due, we sat and went through the budget a final time. And I can tell you specifically, it's in recording. I said, I do not want the $7,000 supplements for the judges in this budget. I was told it'll be in the budget, you'll get to vote on it. Then there were a couple other items that we had not even discussed that were then added, into that proposed budget. So when we got that proposed budget, and then that following day we had to propose, I think it was following day or very short after, we had to propose a rate. And of course, with Open Meetings Act, we can't discuss any of this among, the other commissioners. So it all happens live. And so we're sitting there going, okay, this is the way I saw it.
You can't even get with one because it's a walking quorum.
Yep. Well, you can one. Like if you're a commissioner and we were going to discuss.
Yeah, because there's 5 of y'all.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I can talk to one. But if another commissioner comes up and says, hey, what do you think we ought to do? I go, nope. Yep.
Walking quorum.
Yeah. And I will tell you, we do it.
And that makes your job tough when that happens.
And we probably actually do even a beyond good job at that, for fear of, if you want to get in trouble, do that.
I've told people many times, being on a city council or a county commission is a lonely job because you lose a lot of your friends. Because if you start talking work and you're around another councilman, and you just got yourself in a whole heap of trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. There have been instances of that at social events where 4 commissioners were standing around and something was spoken. I knew we were going somewhere.
No, we were talking about tax rate.
Yeah. So
it's important that you to try to keep the tax rate low because you don't want to price someone out of a house.
No doubt.
Because we own our house, but you're basically paying rent to the state because you're paying property taxes, and you want to keep that rate as low as possible.
Hey, James, again, people have heard me say this. I despise taxes.
Yeah.
I mean, who doesn't? I own, I pay a lot of taxes. I own a nice piece of property. I've got a nice house, so I pay, as much or more taxes than, anybody else who sits on that court. Yeah. So obviously I want it low, but the thing that I did not realize, and by the way, when I was just a citizen, I came to court and did the same kind of, if you will, complaining. And then, once you're under the covers, you realize all these other things. And I know, like, unfunded mandates was another topic that, you had for, potential discussion. And, that's a whole nother animal. And that kills us. I mean, unfunded mandates. I was reading a thing on Hayes County. They figure it's about 45% of their entire budget.
And you have no choice in the matter.
No choice.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I'm, around Copper's Cove, a lot of people say, well, we don't have county roads here. What does the county do for me? And my standard answer is, we handle your criminals. Yeah. And that's the I mean, that's a
You
huge.
see that deputy sheriff driving down the road?
Yep. Well,
We make sure he gets paid.
well, it's beyond that.
In his vehicle.
So, well, you got the sheriff, then you got the DA, then you and this is all mandated, right?
County attorney.
Then you have the county attorney, then you have the county jail,
Yeah.
then you have. I mean, I've got a list here. It's just it's.
Oh, you want to see somebody that soaks up the county's money? That jail.
That yeah.
And you have no choice. You got to
No.
keep it up.
And I didn't know this again because the funny thing is we have a lot of people who work in the prisons here, and they don't realize how different a county jail is than a prison. Those people have rights because they are not convicted. They're only accused, and so the medical attention we have to give them. We average, and I don't have a perfect, but we average almost $50,000 a month on just indigent defense. $50,000 a month on defending, citizens. Real quick though, so criminal defense. These are unfunded mandates. Criminal defense, incarceration of state inmates, and healthcare in county jails. Indigent healthcare and treatment. We take care of the people who can. Juvenile probation, jail standards, blue warrant inmates, appointment of counsel and child protective service cases, and elections. I mean, look at this year. We're gonna have 4 elections, and those elections.
Yeah, and that's a tax assessor collector.
Yep.
And he doesn't take that little piece out of his pie, and he gives you all the rest. It has to all go to y'all, and then y'all give it back to him.
Yep. Yeah, and
Justin's got a hard job.
Oh man, and he does a great job. And it's but yeah, we looked at this year and we had to up part of that budget because we knew we potentially had 4, because we've got a school bond election that's going to be going on. Of course, we got the runoff election, we got the general election still coming up.
If y'all have any questions y'all want to ask Scott, send them our way on the live chat, please. Okay, and then we'll engage and we'll repeat the question so people who watch the podcast later can hear it. All right. So if the county faces a budget shortfall, what specific? Okay, we just talked about that, didn't we? What is your view on data centers?
The same thing.
That's an open-ended question.
It is the same thing I put out on Facebook. I oppose any data center that would deplete or even challenge our water resources. 100%. I mean, we can't afford that. And of course, there's also the second piece is the strain on the electrical grid. Then on the reverse side is, and people don't like to hear this, unfortunately, the Commissioner's Court, as we've seen even across other areas, has very little power, to stop it. And 99% of the time, it's generally falling within a municipality even. So because that's where the water and the infrastructure is, for them. They usually don't put them out in the middle of, a pasture somewhere because they have to be close to a high, basically a switch station.
Well, if you don't have the power to do something, the county doesn't have you or any of the other commissioners ever? Well, I can only count for you, but
I think I know the question.
Talk to Shelby Slauson or Pete Flores, or even try to contact the Governor Abbott's office.
I haven't gone as far as Governor Abbott. I think you've been around. You see that I have a really, really good relationship with Shelby Slauson and Pete Flores. I mean, on a recognized basis, and I can pick up the phone and talk to those folks, anytime. Haven't specifically talked to them about data centers because this has really raised its ugly head about the last 6 months, if you will. But I repeat right up front. I mean, I kind of do what my dad used to say when something, when I walk in and say, "Hey, Dad, can I?" And he'd say, "No," and then I'd have to develop my pitch to him, and I might get a yes at that point, but my answer would be no.
Okay, and it'd be nice if they get fully self-contained data centers. We're probably a few years off from that.
Well, look, I told you I'm a research guru, and didn't know there's going to be a data center, but there's 4 types of data centers. There's an open loop, closed loop, air cooled, and immersion, complete immersion.
Okay.
Do you want to know about them?
Give me the
Well, open loop is the ones that you see mostly, and they're the big boys. They're
right,
the Googles and the Metas and all of that.
the
Where
one
they,
that sucks water and electricity.
yeah, I mean they're using hundreds of thousands of gallons. Then the closed loop system is just exactly what it says. They basically fill up their reservoirs one time, and they recycle the water. Why?
How long will that last?
Some of them I've read for they say a 15 kV, 20 kV, they're burning about 40 gallons an hour.
But
So
how long in a closed system?
how long? Oh, infinitely.
Oh, really?
And the other technology that they're doing that I think is, and all of this, of course, is being driven by the monetary. What I love is many of the people who don't want one are the biggest users through GPT chat,
Yeah.
AI. I mean, every time that you use these things to do that, guess what you're needing?
Yeah, because I use Gemini, Nano Banana too.
Yeah, so
I use it all the time. I'm guilty, I guess.
it's kind of like people who don't want trash dumps in their in their community. Well, guess what? We have trash. We've got somewhere. So you've got to.
You got those two others that you're going.
Yeah. So the other one is air cooled, which is pretty, but it's a high use of electric, as you can imagine, because they're just using air power. I mean, air conditioning units, and then the fourth one, which is the coolest technology, is, and I don't know a lot about it, but it's immersion technology where they actually immerse the servers in a fluid that cools it.
Like dropping into the lake?
Well, it's a
Or
specialty. It's like it would be like a specialty antifreeze.
Okay.
But it's a not a caustic antifreeze. This is the way I picture it.
Oh, okay.
So they and when I say they encapsulate them and then they're immersed in these and then they can cool those, I expect them eventually to start looking at geothermal to cool these. And then the other thing that they're really looking at is using effluent water. So if you could build a data center near a wastewater treatment plant, so when that water is processed through a wastewater treatment plant and it comes out the backside, they're just dumping it out onto the ground and it's just going back into the water system, right? That water is clean. It's perfectly fine. So if you could, and what they're doing, and they're doing this in some places now, is they're drawing water off of those effluent plants and using that, dumping it back into the sewer plant. Then it goes through, and then they just it's like a big recycling. So
come out and suck out my septic tank for me and use that water. I won't cry. Okay.
Well, actually, in the aerobic system, what comes out of the spray,
that's what I got.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you can literally, you should be able to put your hand in it if you're operating your system correctly because it's coordinated.
I'll take your word for it.
It is.
I'll take your word for it. So volunteer fire departments. So, we were just talking about that at the very beginning. Many rural parts of Precinct 2 rely on VFDs, okay, volunteer fire departments, that are struggling with funding and aging equipment. How would you advocate for better support and grants for these essential first responders?
Every time you say VFD, I think variable frequency drive.
Volunteer fire.
I know. This year I advocated. Traditionally every year, the court has put 1.5 pennies, if you will, or 1.5, percent as a donation to the volunteer fire departments. We make that donation as a whole, and then the chiefs will divide that up as they see, how they're going to divide it up among the different things. It's set up that way for a reason. I don't want to have to advocate for, the fire department that's in my precinct. So we give them the money and we say, you guys divide it up. We also allocated $45,000 extra this year. In fact, I think it was to upgrade the Coppers Cove reporting system, but everybody's going to use it. I would love to advocate. Every time we talk about budget constraints, do I think that could be 2 pennies? Absolutely, I would love that. As far as the grants go, not my forte. I think everybody has to have ownership of their own grants. If they needed me to help them get it over the finish line. Let's say it's with us, Shelby Slauson or something like that, to try to get it, moved up to the top. Absolutely, I would. But
does the county use sirens or code red? I know down here we use code red.
It's a code red. Sirens are operated only by the city.
Okay. All right.
So we do have a code red.
I found out today during the TDM that I don't have code red.
Yeah,
I do now. My wife said I got 2 text messages. And I'm like, I didn't, and so I went. I don't even have an account, so I do now. So
that's a reminder,
James.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. If you don't have code red,
Yeah,
get on it. It's easy. It took me 5 minutes, and I was fully operational.
And you can set parameters within that too, so it's not beeping at you for every little.
No, I checked every block.
Yeah, right. And some people will do that. Some will be, I only want to know when there's a tornado, or
Well, this house that we're in, my studio, we had, in 2019, we had a tornado go right over our house, and we didn't know. We knew when it happened.
Yeah.
I mean, we wish we had sirens. We understand about code red, but sirens. I grew up around sirens
Yeah.
in Fort Worth. Maybe it's different now, but what if you like the deal in on the Guadalupe River last July?
Yeah.
We sent out text message. Well, really, sirens are a lot better.
Yeah.
And they wake people up in the middle of the night because usually, for some strange reason, most of the time you get bad weather, you get them at night.
It does. It seems like
come
2
on.
a.m. in the morning or whatever.
Please, Lord, let us get bad weather in the daytime. We got hit by the tornadoes 5:30 at night. So it happened during the day to us. We were very fortunate in this area right here. Nobody died and nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
So we were really lucky. We lost a lot of roofs and trees and fences, but nobody got hurt, which is really good.
Well,
but so code red is in the county area also.
Yep. Oh. Yeah, I mean, it's not really a county-driven one, but it's you can sign up for it.
Okay. All right. Well, with Leo, as you call him, which I call him Leo too. My wife was an MP in the Army, so law enforcement stuff is big. So what is your stance on the current funding levels at the Sheriff's Office? And do you believe the county needs to expand jail capacity or focus on more diversion programs?
Wow. I think everybody who has been around me, knows that I've said, I ran the first time, that law enforcement, and I put that as a whole, EMS, volunteer fire department, as our safety and security function of the county. And then, road and bridge, the 2 things, like I said, that touch the most people. And I have supported. In fact, I stood on the Hill this year when we were making cuts to the budget, trying to get that number down. The sheriff's office needed a new intake software. They had the same one, like most governments do. They had it for 15 years or whatever. The company was not even supporting it anymore. It was so antiquated and it was close to $200,000. But I stood, I said, guys, I am not going to approve budget, unless we have that in there. And fortunately, it got through. Same way with, a software that we had for our auditor. It's a company called eDoc, and they've pretty much they're abandoning ship, if you will. And again, we've had that one for umpteen years, and we went to a company called Financial Intelligence. That'll kind of morph into transparency, by the way. People, and understandably, I hate our system. I hate the way we report stuff, the way our checks are posted. But that's what we had. And so one of the things, in order to help transparency and also help us budget better, was a new financial software, which will also streamline payroll. It's going to do the whole suite, of that. And so, what was the last end of that?
Oh,
because I went into transparency.
how would to believe that the county needs to expand
Oh,
jail capacity,
jail capacity.
or focus on diversion programs?
Um, well, diversion program. I'm very, very happy. In fact, I toured the jail a little while back, and they have started their faith-based program again.
Okay.
You know, there were so many things, the atrocities that happened during the pandemic, businesses going out, all this Zoom meetings and stuff like that. And part of that was the faith-based ministry, in the jail. And now they've got a nice little area, and they're getting some really good response. So I'm huge on yes. I think if you can, on recidivism, if you can get just one person, let's just say it, one person to find Christ, they probably won't come back to jail.
That's good.
And so, we support that. Our new jail administrator that's been on a couple of years, he does a great job at that. Expanding the jail, we know it. I mean, we've talked about it. It's been, I hate that term, kick down, you can kick down the road, but, it's going to have to be a major topic of what are we going to do? But I will say that, last year, a lot of people were saying, oh, you spent $2.8 million on out of, county. Well, that's what we budgeted. And if you think about that, we have to budget a pretty big number in there because we don't know what the jail population is going to be, right?
Please, everybody, don't break the law.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I bring one. Remember what happened at Twin Peaks?
Yeah.
I mean, they arrested 40, 50 people, and they had to find.
That was Bell County.
Yeah.
No,
McLennan.
That was McLennan County. Yeah.
McLennan County.
Highway 6.
But if something like that happens here in Cove or Gatesville, then our jail can immediately become out of compliance. Right. And so we can't predict. So we budgeted $2.8 million, and we spent, if you will, we expensed about 1.75. So we came in considerably under what we hoped, and part of that was the jail expansion that we added on. That is proving in the budget that it was a winning decision.
So I don't know how accessible you are to people in Precinct 2. Do you freely give out your phone number to anyone who wants it?
254-410-3389. I mean, yes.
Is that your company phone or
it is? Yeah.
Your county phone?
No, we don't have county phones.
You don't?
Nope.
Okay.
Wow. No, that's my phone.
Do you get an expense for it?
It's $25 a month or something. I think I do get a little stipend for it, but
that'll give you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Speak fast.
Well, yeah. I mean,
texting is free.
No, it's on my business card.
Okay.
It's on the website. In fact, if you look on the website, all 4 commissioners' cell phones are listed on the county website. So absolutely. I've answered phones at 10, 11 at night. I've answered phones at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, and I always try to answer it. I was in sales for 40 years. You always answer the phone with a positive attitude. Yeah. And what can I do for you today?
Do you ever go to any city council meetings?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
Okay.
I've even presented at a couple of them, but probably not as as often as I could. But yeah.
Okay. Have you ever, or do you plan on in your term, if you get elected, have like town halls or coffee with the commissioner?
Yeah. That idea has been kicked around.
Hang out at the Green Rooster or down here at the. Well, see, where can you can go to Starbucks, you go to Dunkin's.
There's
the rest of them are drive-throughs.
There's what you'll find.
You don't have a Whataburger.
No,
but we do down here.
Well, what you'll find, and especially in, I'll even just equate it to the smaller town, if you will. A little different than Cove for sure. There's what I call the coffee clutches. The old guys that meet. There's 4 spots that I know of that I could go any morning and sometimes in the afternoon and sit down with 8 or 10 of the.
Yeah, but they're the town criers. So whatever you tell them.
No.
Oh yeah, they will blast it,
and that's fine.
Which is good.
Yeah, they are
that helps you out.
They are the wisdom.
Yeah.
These guys are, I say guys and gals, they are the wisdom. They're the ones that, and when I say it's usually an older generation of the coffee clutch. And so I visit those. I have kicked around. I would absolutely do a town meeting, once a month, or a precinct meeting once a month. Uh, Even if I had one person show up, I'd be happy. I would love 40, 50, 60, 70 people to show up. One of the other things that I am going to do, it was proposed at the budget hearing, and I would love for my other commissioners to do it, but I can't control what they do, is to try to form a budget advisory committee made up of some citizens. Haven't worked out all the legals because we probably have to sign non-disclosure agreements, and stuff. Because if I open up there are certain things, and people go, "Oh, what are you hiding?" What we hide are personal salaries and specifically deductions, because it's not fair for somebody to know if you're doing a deduction for child.
Office Attorney General for child support.
Child support. Yeah. I mean, that's not anybody's public,
right,
information. So anything that we keep, on the backside of the budget is that kind of personal, information. I would assume if it was challenged, you could probably get it, but I would argue you don't need that. That's their business.
And so, also transparency. Have you? I know I talked about all y'all candidates I interviewed beforehand. Have you thought about more about transparency in the like the commissioner's court?
James, again, you're preaching to the choir. I've been saying this since the day I got on. But again, I'm not casting blame, but the county judge is the presiding judge. It is a quasi judicial courtroom. He is the presiding judge, so he runs that courtroom. So what he decides to do, how he decides to do it, who he's going to let in, and those kind of things. Could we challenge that? Yeah. We probably could and could have. But he could dig his heels in just statutorily. He runs that courtroom. It's no different than a district judge. I mean, if you went in that place and said, "Hey, judge, I want to be able to," he'd strike you down immediately.
Well,
it's his courtroom.
He hasn't agreed to do any interview with me at all. That's all right. I interviewed everybody else. Yeah. That's his right. He's the incumbent, just like you. You didn't have to come here. You did, and that's brave and professional of you. But that's good. I mean, that's his right.
Well, let me go back and say, absolutely. I think we need microphones. I would think we need to be some way of videoed, whether it's live stream or something, at least where it's posted. Because like I said, there's nobody that can't say they don't hear every word I say in that courtroom, because I'm just a loudspeaker to begin with. I will speak my opinion. I will ask a lot of questions.
I saw on Facebook this morning, someone asked a question about that. Amber Tippett was like, "Hey, we need Zoom, YouTube, whatever to be more engaging for the constituents. Because everyone's a constituent. There are possible voters. Be able to ask questions during the citizens forum and stuff, whenever it's granted for them to be able to mic in. But when you don't have that capability, we'll just record it and post it, or on a transcript. That doesn't do anything for anyone.
And they do. I mean, currently they have that avenue, and it is Zoom. They can type in a question, or they can, during the citizen forum part, we have people that participate during Zoom and speak and and read their little statements and stuff. But to make it fully, I don't even really call it transparent. It's just to make it usable. In fact, one of the things that I hate I don't like our minutes. Our minutes come out, and all it says is what the action was. It's like, but then you have to go back and look at the agenda.
Right.
You got two pieces. I think we should have what the agenda item was, and then what action, if any.
In the commissioner's court, who keeps minutes?
It's currently it's under the responsibility of the county clerk's office.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you will, I guess, they're the court clerk.
Okay.
of our court. And so they do the minutes and post the minutes and post the recordings and do a really, really good job. That's just one thing that I think could be improved is because I refer back to the minutes, a lot to see, okay, what happened, 2 weeks ago, and I go, okay, well, I see that it was,
So
voted.
does Miss Newton, does she hand jam it or does she record it and transcribe it?
Both.
Okay.
I think during court we'll be taking notes and if we pass something and it requires signatures, we will sign it and enter it into court record.
Okay.
At that process. But like I said, that's just one of those little small things, and I'll bet you there's other folks out there that will listen to this and go, "Yeah, I've looked at that too." Because if you don't know what the agenda item is, then sometimes those minutes don't make any sense.
Yeah.
Oh, the commissioners agreed to pass this.
Well, and if y'all have any comments like that, I'm sure Scott knows how to get back to this. And if you put them in the hard comment section, he'll see it after the podcast. Like I said, anything in the live chat disappears when after the podcast is over. All right, so we're coming to the end. So if you have a question for Scott, you need to let us know before we say I'm out type deal. Okay. So how would what is the single biggest lesson you have learned from the 2025 budget hearing and that will change your approach in the next term?
I believe communication up front. And if there's anything that I have struggled with and that the county has struggled with is how to communicate with the citizens. The county does not even have a Facebook page. We don't have anybody to really maintain it. Look, this is the dirty little truth. We try to run an extraordinarily lean organization. So each one of those layers of extra stuff takes somebody that has to pay attention to it. Even setting up cameras, microphones, and all of that. Whose responsibility is that going to be?
The IT company or
that could be right. Before we didn't have anybody who was even probably technically strong enough and willing.
Outside the we'll get back to outside of the county judge, who is the PAO for the county commissioner's court? The public affairs officer.
Oh, we don't. Yeah.
Okay.
See, yeah.
Because down here in Cove, it's
I thought it was a PIO, Public Information Officer, PAO. That's what kind of confused me. No, we don't have a spokesperson, if you will. It's the county judge.
Because like here in Cove, we have Kevin Keller, and one of his duties is to maintain that Facebook and the X, or I don't know if they got X, but the Facebook account. And then Lieutenant Baker, she's in charge of it at CCPD.
I mean, I know it's hard for people to believe, but we really do. And this is where hopefully I can look right in the camera and say, man, I have gone over this budget, not with a fine tooth comb. I'm talking about a lice comb, and we just run, because I've examined, I go, okay, how do other counties, what's that? In fact, our IT Goldsmith this morning reiterated that. He goes, well, the budget that you guys have is very you're constrained, and there's different reasons why. So everybody that you add, or every layer of service that you add, sure, you can suck it up with some. For one that we were going to talk about was grants. We do not have a grant administrator. Not a grant writer, just somebody who watches those grants.
Make sure everything is being done properly.
Yeah, and I'm the first one to tell you some of our shortfalls. It's like contracts. When I got there, I'd be like, hey, where's the contract for our phones? Whoever did the contract. So we don't even, we don't have a single repository. Now, all those contracts are entered into court record. But if I go into those court records and try to find that contract, if I don't put in the exact perfect word or search it, very difficult to find. So no grant administrator, no purchasing agent. So there's a lot of those levels. So
stuff to work on.
It is, and we got to find find ways to get it done. But of course, then, like I said, sticking and maintaining with my, the two that I said are the most important to, I think, everybody. Because at the end of the day, people really don't care that we have two district courts here, because most people will never step foot in those except for jury duty.
Jury duty.
Yeah, and then they're holding their head down trying to, I mean, I think it's a wonderful civic duty. I've served on 4 juries in my time.
I'm not going to answer that. Becky Moore may be watching.
Yeah. I just go in there and I answer the questions, and if I get picked, I get picked. This was in Harris County, which, boy, you want to.
Okay, so with we are way over time.
Oh, sorry,
but that's all right. So tell the voters, give us your closing statement, what you want to do, and we'll go from there.
All right, guys. I think I've laid out to you in the beginning, what my experience is, what my education and training, and my commitment, to be a full-time. I thought of an interesting. You always try to think of, what's an interesting tagline, and one of them is, well, I know who I'm voting for, right? I'm voting for me because I think I'm the best candidate. But I think if you truly, if everybody will examine, all of those things, hopefully take half of, well, how about a tenth of what you might hear or read, outside. You talk about my number again, 254-410-3389. If you have a question, call me. And that is probably one of the most frustrating things, James, is, I'll see things out there and it's like, all you have to do is call me and I could clear up many of those things, like the transparency in the IT thing. I know that RFQ frontwards and backwards. I know how I would have responded to it. It was very, very clear. Plagiarism is a good thing. I mean, we stole 3/4 of it from another county that went through the process. So it was a tried and true, RFQ, and we just tweaked it, for Coryell County. At the end of the day, I think that's what it comes down to, is who can get the job, done, and not say that they can get the job done. And I think there's a lot of people that run for office, myself included. The first time, I didn't know what all was involved, and it's a very big, important, varied job. It's not about one thing. I mean, you've got to be, a master of a lot of things. And so I'm committed. I would love to be your commissioner. I love my job, first off. That's most important. I love what I do. I love serving the citizens. I respond to everybody, and I just would appreciate your vote.
Got a question from our Precinct 1 person, friend of mine. The housing developments or filling the houses as fast as they can build, are the extra taxes considered? JP, let me know how he responds. Oh, okay, I'm JP.
Yeah.
So I guess he's talking about the housing developments are...
Yeah, okay. Can I give a quick?
Yeah,
civics lesson. This is a Civics County 101. So, every year when the tax assessor collector, the starting process of the budget is the tax assessor collector will go to the CAD, get a current roll of all properties, that are on the books.
Right.
And then what they do is they look at properties that were in existence last tax year, and then they look at new properties. And that's where your no new revenue rate comes from. People get a lot of confused about this no new revenue. What they're saying is, in a perfect world, counties should be able to live on the properties that they had last year and then any new revenue that is produced. I think last year, our new was like, and don't get me wrong, I think it's $352,000 in additional revenue off of those new rooftops and or businesses. Unfortunately, our growth as a whole, that's probably it's a very lofty goal, to live off just the growth.
No, we got 41,000 people over here now.
Yeah,
in Copper
Oh no.
I think it's 79,000 for the county altogether.
80, the most current beyond even the census, they're estimated about 86,000.
So we almost half of it.
Yeah, and get this, 15,000 of that, I think 15,000 is our inmates. They count them as citizens.
So that's 59,000.
Yeah.
So y'all got the rest.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming out.
No, thank you.
All right. If you got his phone number twice already, and we got the hard comments over here, thank you, Richard, and thank you, Cindy, for your questions. Much obliged. Thank you for participating. Thank you all for watching. Please click the follow button to be a follower of the JP8 report. Give us a like for the interview, and then share it out, spread it out to others. I'm going to post this on Facebook in 4 different sections or pages. Pages, and we'll get the word out. Early vote is May 18th to the 22nd, and then the day after Memorial Day is Election Day. So you want to make plans for going to vote. Only Republicans that voted in the primary can go vote, or if you haven't voted yet. Anyone that voted in the Democratic primary, you're done. You don't get to vote no more, not until November. And then there's no Democratic opponent in your race anyway, so only Republicans are voting for their commissioner here. And then when is the last day to register to vote?
Ooh, I don't know. You should have already done it.
We had, well,
right.
But people moving into
all
the time. I saw the deal on the Texas scorecard today that more people are moving in Texas are moving out of the urban areas into the outer suburbs, the rural areas. And for a while there, we were having a problem losing people in Cove to so we needed a kid that graduates from Cove High. Well, c'est la vie, we're out, and you don't see your kid unless you go visit them. Like, oh, come on back here. But nobody wants to earn that $12, $13, $14 an hour. They need $20, $25 to $30 an hour. And that's what we are working for down here. That's one of the questions we really didn't get into. But
you want me to come back?
If you want later on, I told your opponent if he wants to come like toward the beginning of May, and for a farewell, we'll do a quick.
There's so many other things.
We'll open up a town hall and let people ask questions, or I'll just ask a bunch of questions and stump you really good.
That's one thing people have said. Do you want the questions? I go, I know my job. I mean, I've been doing it now for 4 years. I know, what I'm required and what I've done.
If you want to come back in a few weeks, we can
just have a conversation. Not really a.
Oh no, we'll have some policy questions here for you.
Okay.
And if you can figure out how to get Judge Miller, to come down there, I'll take care of him on there. I don't bite. I mean, I've done countless interviews in Bell County and in Coryell County. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
I don't get gotcha type questions. I ask you a question, you should know the answers to.
Yeah. Or say I don't know.
I don't know.
Like, when is the last day of registration? I don't know.
I believe. So if election day is the 26th of May, it should be approximately 31 days the 30 days in April. It should be April 27th. Don't pass April 20th, okay?
So one last thing, kind of a joke.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a joke. So the 26th is election day. It's also a court day, a commissioner's court day.
Really?
Yes. I just saw that today and I went, oh boy. And one of my things that I've told is I have 100% attendance record for regularly scheduled court meetings. I have missed a special meeting or something that I didn't.
How tall are you?
6'2".
So we need to find a skinny 6'2" guy, and we have a gray beard. Put him that Ariat shirt, and you can walk and hold signs up.
Yeah.
And then you can still go to Commissioner's Court.
Yeah.
Okay?
Well, I actually may see if we can move it because that is an important day, and I need to be attending to the polls, and I need to be asking for that last vote.
Well, Kevin Keller, PIO, yeah, he just sent out an email. And just same thing like with the city. On election day in November is City Council Day.
Yeah.
And City Council meets at 6:00 at night for the council meeting. So they're usually meeting when the polls close.
Are closing.
And like, oh my goodness, right?
Yeah.
Do you roll the dice and miss the City Council meeting?
Right.
and or do you do your duty that you got elected for? And I mean myself, I would be doing my duty I was elected for.
Yeah, yeah.
Because regardless if you like it or not, people are going to vote whether they're looking at you or not.
That's
Because they can't take you into the ballot box.
But that's and we go back to that's the commitment.
Yeah.
I made a commitment to
Do you have a campaign team?
No.
You don't. You're just doing this on your own.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
it's me. Well, my wife.
Okay. She's your campaign.
That's it. 100%. It's just us two, and we rock it whenever we can.
Okay. No more questions. All right. So thank y'all very much for tuning in to the election interview with Scott Weddle, Commissioner Scott Weddle. And don't forget to vote. Thank y'all for tuning in. And this is James Pierce with the JP8 report. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm out.